The race required a restart after a huge first corner crash for Zhou Guanyu's Alfa Romeo, which flipped over and hit the catch fencing, and climate change protesters who invaded the track. Sainz led until Red Bull's Max Verstappen passed him, but Verstappen then suffered bodywork damage and dropped back down the order. In a wild restart, Sainz passed Leclerc for the win, with Red Bull's Sergio Perez surging up to second, ahead of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes after some amazingly close racing. Leclerc fell to fourth due to a tyre disadvantage to those around him. Verstappen started on softs and launched ahead of pole-sitter Sainz, with Hamilton surging up to third from fifth, shoving Leclerc wide at turn 3, but a red flag was required almost immediately. Zhou's Alfa Romeo was flipped over on the approach to turn 1 and crashed hard into the barriers and catch fencing after a long, inverted slide across the gravel trap. The shunt was triggered when Pierre Gasly's Alpha Tauri was pinched between Zhou and George Russell, Mercedes, the latter spinning into Zhou's right rear tire and sending him flying. Russell got out of his car and rushed to help Zhou, whose car was wedged between the Armco and the debris fence. Also involved were Alex Albon, Williams, who was clipped from behind by Sebastian Vettel's Aston Martin and slammed into the pit wall before his spinning car was collected by Esteban Ocon, Alpine, and Yuki Tsunoda, Alpha Tauri. They both crawled back to the pits with damage, while Albon joined Zhou in the medical center for checks. The race restarted in its original order, as the first attempt had been halted so quickly. This time, Verstappen was on mediums like Sainz. Sainz just onto held his lead through the opening corners, while Verstappen came under a huge attack from Leclerc and Perez, the latter sustaining front wing damage against Sainz as the leaders briefly ran 4 wide at the loop. Leclerc also suffered wing damage as he lunged inside Perez. Sainz initially got out of Verstappen's doctor's range out front, with Leclerc in third ahead of Perez, Norris, and Hamilton. Perez decided to pit for a new nose, while Hamilton passed Norris for fourth at Brooklands on lap 6. Hamilton then got within Leclerc's doctor's range, prompting Ferrari to pit Leclerc on lap 26 and he rejoined twos behind Sainz in third. Hamilton led to his home crowd's delight, as Leclerc was told he was allowed to fight Sainz for second. Ferrari swapped its cars over on lap 31, with no protest from Sainz as he couldn't hit the target lap time being asked of him. Ocon passed the hamstrung Verstappen on lap 37 but was forced out 3 laps later, causing a safety car. Sainz, Hamilton and Perez pitted but Leclerc stayed out on his hards. Hamilton passed Leclerc and Perez in one move at club, but Perez passed him back at the loop, taking Leclerc with him. Sainz won the race ahead of Perez, Hamilton, who took the extra point for fastest lap, Leclerc, Alonso, and Norris.